Zombies once roamed, but life was peaceful. Now everything has changed. Now they smash through barricades, hunt their targets relentlessly, and refuse to go down no matter how hard you hit them. Even the faintest sigh of relief? They hear it, and then they come sprinting, whispering death in your ear. I've cranked the terror up to the max. Tough zombies, superhuman strength, pinpoint hearing, 25% are sprinters, windows break instantly. In 10 days, the city will be overrun. I have 10 days to escape Petroville. I'll fight tooth and nail just to stay alive. Every trick, every strategy. I'll need them all. I woke up in Petroville as a convict, and let me tell you, I did not sign up for this. Strange noises echoed through the halls, and to make things worse, my cell door was wide open. I crouched low, creeping down the hall when I spotted a small storage room, perfect for grabbing supplies. But even my quiet footsteps were enough to attract zombies. I didn't have time to loot properly. I did, however, manage to grab a baseball bat and a crowbar before bolting out of there. Outside was pitch black, and honestly, a prison surrounded by fences felt safer than whatever was lurking in the dark. So I climbed up the guard tower and waited for daylight. Even though I moved as quietly as possible, some zombies still heard me and started climbing up. Luckily, it wasn't too many. I took care of them. With some breathing room, I searched the area and found a little food and a gun. Not sure if I can even use it with how sharp their hearing is, but hey, better to have it than not. Morning comes, but sleep never did. From the watchtower, I scanned the area. No zombies in sight. Even better, a section of the fence is down, perfect escape route. Weaving through rows of rusted, abandoned cars, I make it to my first stop, an empty factory. Moving as lightly as possible, I peek inside. Zombies on the first floor. I creep up to the second, pry open a locked door. One lunges at me. I swing my bat, thinking I can handle a few. But then more start creeping in. Too many. Time to bail. I rush down to the first floor, hoping for a way out. Only to find even more of them waiting. No choice. I ditch the factory and move on. With no other options, I start scavenging the abandoned cars on the outskirts, hoping for food. I keep walking, searching, and finally, there it is. A building. Muffled growls echo from inside. Not great, but I need food and water. Turning back isn't an option. I slip in through a side window, getting a quick look around. Luck's on my side. I find a backpack. With more storage, I can grab even more supplies. Time to go deeper. I crack open a door and immediately regret it. A lot of them, but they're locked behind metal bars. That buys me some time. I step in carefully. Then I open another door. The metal gives way, and they come charging. One sprinter trips over a chair. Perfect. I take it down first, eliminating the biggest threat. When the dust settles, I loot what I can. Food, water, and a gun with some ammo. Not bad. With my supplies secured, I slip back out the same window. Another building stands ahead, worth checking out. Inside, crates are stacked everywhere. No zombies in sight. Time to scavenge. Then, out of nowhere, a zombie drops from above, lunging at me. I bolt for the exit. No time to fight. As I escape, I make sure to slam the door shut. No unwelcome guests following me. After dodging yet another close call, I wander forward with no clear destination. I stumble upon what looks like an abandoned refugee camp. Luck's on my side. Some gear and clothes are still here. I consider searching for more supplies, but movement stirs inside the tents. Too many zombies. I quietly back away. I had no choice but to take another route. The area was too close to the forest, making it hard to see what was ahead, so I stuck to the outer roads until I ran into a zombie wielding a chainsaw. Yeah, not exactly something I wanted to fight. With no other options, I sprinted into the dark forest, hoping I could lose it in the trees. After wandering through the forest on high alert, I finally spotted a quiet commercial building. It was getting late, and I needed a safe spot for the night, so I decided to check out a 2-story house. I could hear zombies nearby, but this house, right at the edge, seemed like my best bet. But inside, a lone zombie was waiting for me. I took it down. But the noise? Yeah, now the other zombies were knocking at my door. I hesitated, wondering what to do, but then I made up my mind. Fight for this house. The fight began. But there were just too many of them. I slammed the door shut, but there was nowhere to run. I hesitated at the window. No time to think. The door burst open. A zombie lunged from below, ready to tear me apart, but somehow I slipped past its bite. In my frantic escape, I ended up at a gun store. I thought about taking shelter inside, but there were even more zombies than before. With no choice, I had to backtrack. Unfortunately, I ran straight into a room where a blaring TV had already attracted a horde. Time to fight. But exhausted and outmatched, I had no choice but to flee deep into the woods, losing the zombies along the way. Nowhere left to go, nowhere safe to rest. The gun store nearby was crawling with the undead. Before nightfall, I returned to the store's parking lot, ate whatever I had left in my bag, and tried to get some rest inside the car. Day 3 begins. After dealing with the undead, it was clear I needed a real escape plan. Looking at the map, Petroville was surrounded, endless forest to the right, and a road leading to Rosewood on the left. That settled it. My next stop? Rosewood. But getting there wouldn't be easy. I needed to prepare for some serious fights. The undead were getting tougher and increasing in numbers. Melee alone wouldn't cut it anymore. I needed firepower. There was only one solution: the gun store nearby. Pulling the trigger meant attracting a horde, but at this point, not using a gun meant dying anyway. So, first thing in the morning, I stormed the gun store. After a quick fight, I secured a gun and a drum magazine. No suppressor, but if things got bad, I wouldn't hesitate to use it. As I stepped outside, I spotted a car with a working siren. Perfect. I flipped it on and retreated back into the gun store's safe zone, watching the chaos unfold. Zombies with pinpoint hearing couldn't resist. As they swarmed the blaring siren, I slipped away to the house I raided yesterday and grabbed more food. I peeked through the window. Absolute mayhem near the car. No chance of getting near it. So I quietly slipped out the back and took the alley behind the gun store. I followed the road west. By the time I stopped walking, night had fallen. That's when I found an abandoned warehouse, cleared a few zombies, switched on my flashlight, and took a look inside. No more threats. Even better, there was a bed upstairs. Too late to keep moving. This place would do for the night. I looted the ground floor, then barricaded the stairway before finally getting some rest. Woke up on day 4, feeling relatively well rested, but there was a problem. Thick fog blanketed everything. Normally I'd stay put, but with only 10 days to escape, I had no choice but to move. I was at the far northwest of Petroville. To reach Rosewood, I had to follow the road south. With the fog this thick, I couldn't tell if the streets were empty or if danger was just out of sight. I moved cautiously until I hit a dead end. The only way forward was through one of the buildings. Both looked packed with zombies. So I chose the left one. At least there, I could use the windows to my advantage. Zombies heard the noise and started pouring through the windows. I handled them carefully, but then, bam, the second floor collapsed, releasing even more onto me. One shoved me hard. I had to retreat. I repositioned and took them down one by one, but the fight dragged on. My bat shattered. I switched to a machete. What started as a morning skirmish lasted till afternoon before I finally secured the building. The place was huge. I had no idea if I got them all, but I shut a nearby door, found a spot, and took a much-needed break. After some rest, I figured the area was safe enough to push forward. But as I moved south, something made my skin crawl. Ahead was a market lined with massive glass windows. One wrong move, one broken pane, and the whole horde would come flooding in. It was already 5:20 p.m. I couldn't risk a fight, so I slipped into the next building. Bad idea. Zombies were in the next room, and, of course, the TV was blaring. There weren't many of them, but I wasn't taking chances. I needed somewhere safer. I had no idea I was making a huge mistake. Running blindly, dodging zombies, I ended up cornered, trapped between a massive building and the woods. The perfect ambush spot. By the time I realized it, I was already surrounded. Somehow, I wasn't grabbed. I took the chance and ran like hell. I found myself in a junkyard, trapped again. But this time, the wrecked cars worked in my favor. They broke up the horde, letting me take them down one by one. I cleared them out, and finally, silence. No shelter in sight. But then, luck. A warehouse, an old chair. Not ideal, but enough for me to catch some sleep and survive another day. Woke up on day 5 after a quick nap in the warehouse chair. As soon as the sun was up, it was back to work. From here on, I'd be moving into a densely packed commercial district. One wrong step, and it could be over. I had my gun ready, but I still wasn't sure if I could handle the consequences. That's when I thought of a last-ditch trick. Building a door frame, luring zombies in, and taking them out. It works like using windows or fences. Zombies trip over it, giving me a crucial advantage. To pull this off, I needed carpentry level 2, planks and nails. Luckily, this warehouse was packed with supplies. I broke down chairs and crates to level up my skills. After hours of hard work, exhaustion hit me early. It wasn't even night yet, but I decided to get some rest in the safety of the warehouse. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I put my plan into action. I had to get moving fast. First order of business, grabbing planks and putting the plan into action. Before nightfall, I needed to clear out zombies and secure some food. I snuck into the nearby woods, gathered planks, and set up a doorframe barricade in front of the food warehouse. Then I triggered an alarm clock to lure the zombies in. Zombies slowly started gathering. At first, there weren't as many as I expected, so I let my guard down. Big mistake. More and more broke through the doors, spilling over the barricade from both sides. The second I realized the danger, I bolted. I fell back to a nearby warehouse, taking down the ones that chased me, one by one. Once it was safe, I returned to my barricade. This time, I reinforced the barricade so zombies could only funnel in from one direction. Then, I fired a shot to draw them in. It worked like a charm. After clearing out enough of them, I slipped into the food warehouse and grabbed supplies. It was pushing 8 p.m., but I had to get out of this warehouse district fast. I decided to make my way to the apartment complex across the street. I set up another door frame in a narrow passageway, making sure zombies could only come from one side. Exhausted from constant fighting, I pushed through. After an entire day of relentless battles, I finally made it inside the apartment building. The inside was quiet, but in my exhausted state, even a single zombie could be deadly. I had no choice but to head to the rooftop, survey the area, and block off any access points. Only then could I finally end the day. Day 7. I woke up to the sound of an alarm blaring somewhere in the distance. The alarm had drawn in hordes of zombies, smashing through windows. There was no telling where they'd go next. Sensing danger, I quickly set up a door frame to prepare for a fight. After dealing with a few, things seemed quiet, so I tried to make my way out, only to find even more zombies waiting below. I lured them in again, using the barricade to my advantage. After taking out a good number, I thought I could finally escape down the stairs. But zombies swarmed from above and below, forcing me to retreat and fight over and over. I considered using the rooftop bridge to cross into another building, but with only 3 days left to escape, I couldn't afford to get stuck again. I had to get out of here. Luckily, thanks to all the zombies I'd already taken out, the area I climbed down into was relatively clear. I didn't want to waste any more time, but I was exhausted. I found shelter, blocked the hallway with a table, wedged a chair against the door, and finally got some rest. Day 8. Time is running out. Before heading out, I fill my water bottle and grab a quick meal. After 2 days of non-stop fighting, I can finally step outside. Now I need to cross the streets and reach the main road, but there's a problem. A horrific sound echoes from somewhere nearby. The general store ahead is surrounded by windows. With that insane noise luring in the dead, I can't just walk in. Then I remember, I have a Molotov. If I throw it toward the store, I can lure the zombies there. I toss the Molotov and retreat toward the apartment, watching the chaos unfold. The explosion and flames grab their attention, but some passing zombies spot me and charge. Luckily, there's a terrace fence nearby. I use it to take them out one by one. After some time, I check the store again. It's still burning, filled with zombies stumbling around in the flames. I slip past on the opposite side, avoiding attention. Some zombies are still trapped inside nearby buildings, so I wait in a corner. As the number of zombies thins out, I move south. Finally, I make it out of the main district and into the residential area. I'm getting close. The zombies here seem fewer, but not enough to just sprint through. I have no idea how many are scattered along my escape route. With the exit so close, I have to be careful. I reload my gun, 1 Molotov left. How do I get through this? Then it hits me. I can set the neighborhood on fire. I break into a house, crank the oven to max heat and leave. No timer. In another, I grab a knife and foil, toss them into the microwave and turn it on. Ovens take time to ignite. Microwaves? Instant boom. With fires set, I duck into the next house to watch it all unfold. For the first time in a while, I let my guard down, casually looking around. Then, just my luck, it starts raining. The rain intensifies. I panic and try to make a run for it, but the roads are packed with zombies, confused by the storm. The rain is pouring, but if I can distract the horde or let the fire weaken them, I might have a shot at escaping. I grab my last Molotov and hurl it into the chaos. But the fire dies out almost instantly. Just my luck. Plan failed. I have to fall back. Time for Plan B, the doorframe trick. I start chopping trees near the neighborhood to gather planks. The sound of my axe swings kept luring in more zombies. I hurried to build doorframes and push forward, but even that wasn't going to be easy. Some are still burning, sprinting at me like flaming torches. And to make matters worse, their screams are luring even more. With nowhere to hide, the horde swarms in. I try to create distance and fire my gun. But that was a mistake. I burn through my last bullets, but the flood of zombies doesn't stop. I have no choice but to run. 3 sprinters won't let me go. They almost rip me apart, but I keep sprinting until I gain some distance. Then I trip them up, stomp them down, and finish them off. I reload, knowing more are coming. I rush to build doorframes in the middle of the road, but I don't have enough planks to block every direction. I set up barriers to control the flow and prepare for the next fight. I take down sprinters from a distance with my gun. For those that reach the barricades, I switch to melee. Experience keeps me steady. I take them out one by one. But with gaps in the barricades, they start breaking through. I keep moving back, fighting them off as they come. And just like that, day 9 rolled in, with no end to the fighting in sight. Then finally, silence. No more zombies in sight. No second guessing. I flick on my flashlight, bolt for the main road, and before the 10-day mark, I escape Petroville. I have no idea if what's ahead is any better than what I just left behind, but there's no turning back now. I just have to keep running. Thanks for sticking with me. Wishing you luck on your own survival. And hey, watch out for their teeth.